there's this thought process where people say social, it's social, ha ha, social's funny, social's a joke. But really, he says social is just the state of the internet at this time. It's a trend, the way the internet is going, and understanding what that means. He says you have to understand what social means, and he thinks a lot of people are late to the game. Tom, so we'll talk about that. We wanted to talk about goal setting. Me and you were in the back talking about things people undervalue in business. In 1 minute span, we rattled off about 10 things and almost didn't start the room because of it. So
Yeah, it was a good list that we had going. I'd love to hear what other people think.
Let's get on it then. Let's start the room with that today. So Prof T, new author launching. She has an ebook that just came out. Her book's about to come out any day now. So Prof T, Teresa, people are undervaluing a lot of things these days. What do you think people are undervaluing?
Oh my gosh, I just love this. Good morning. Hi, I'm Teresa Augustinelli, otherwise known as Prof T from Philly. Yes, thank you so much, Dominick. The ebook is out. The paperback book is also available for your reading pleasure. So excited about it. And it's all a book about mindset, which I love this title because I was thinking about it this morning, honestly. Are people undervaluing each other more? I feel like there are things, social media. I heard that. I listened to that that podcast that you put up on your LinkedIn, and I really loved it because he's right. I mean, yes, it's where we're at, and it's making the best use of that forum, and I love that. But I think people are undervaluing people right now. I think people are very mistrusting. I feel like people are having trouble hiring and retaining good employees. Um, and I think there's an overall undervaluing people. So that's what I'm going to start with. I kind of just jumped in. I'd like to hear more. And this is Teresa Augustinelli. Back to you. Thanks.
Teresa, I thought that was a great angle to go. People are undervaluing people. Think how many people just chew up and spit out other people or think they're better than them or all these other ways they undervalue other people. So that was a great angle. Tom, so this is the room we talk Clubhouse, podcasting, publishing, and social media. We missed you last week. Either you were out training or out on set. You don't look tan. I'm looking at Tom. We're live streaming right now. He does not look like he has a tan. So he couldn't have been out tanning. But Tom, one of the subjects we were discussing is things people undervalue. And the subject matter was Gary Vee saying people are undervaluing social media, like it's a fad, or oh, it's just for little kids, or it's just TikToks for young girls making makeup videos in their bedroom. And so what are your thoughts on all this?
I mean, I like where Prof T went with it. I think she's right. And I think there's a couple of different ways that people are undervaluing people, right? So for sure, people are having trouble attracting and retaining good employees. And I think that's a result of this trend of undervaluing people. And I think social media has played a role in it, but I think also sort of business culture and corporate culture has played a big role in this. When you look at businesses, big companies, publicly traded companies, right, who have an explicit mission to do everything they can to return investment to their shareholders, right? To pay out, to generate profits and income for their shareholders. When that's the sole mission of the business, right? Everything else is secondary to that mission to provide profits and cash payouts to the shareholders. When you have a business like that, people are cogs in the machine. They're data points. They're how you generate money, right? Like, so the goal is to separate customers, clients, the public from as much cash as possible, as quickly as possible, to drive revenue and profits, right, for shareholders. So if that's the goal, if that's the stated goal of businesses, then it's no surprise that we have people undervaluing people, right? We have these big examples holding up how you can get away with undervaluing people and drive record profits as a result of it, right? You can make tons of money if you undervalue people, right? And you treat people like data points, and you treat people like a way to make money, right? As a means to an end. So I 100% agree with what Prof T is saying. And I think the way that social media kind of reinforces this thinking is through this notion of followers, right? Like, how many times have we heard about somebody getting obsessive about the number of followers they have on their account, right? Like, oh man, I'm almost at like 1,000 on Instagram, and like I've got 5,000 or 500 or 10,000 or whatever the number is on TikTok, right? And like, if you want to have X number of followers, here's how you have to do it, right? Like, and all of these things it's that followers, like, those are people, right? I mean, some are bots, let's be realistic, but like, mostly those are people. What you're talking about when you use that word followers and when you look at that number on your social media, you're talking about people, other human beings, right? Other people who have hopes and dreams and ups and downs and good days and bad days, just like you do. And the problem is that because of this delineation or this separation between direct human interaction and this sort of this virtual interaction through social media and through consumer products and buying things online and stuff like that, we've created a situation where it's very easy to lose empathy, right? To not empathize with the people that those numbers represent. And I think that's where things have kind of gone wrong. And that's why people undervalue people. And you were talking about Gary Vee before, and one of the things that he says, and I'm not like somebody asked me how long I've been a Gary Vee disciple, and I was like, whoa, pump the brakes there, buddy. I wouldn't call myself a Gary Vee disciple or a disciple of anyone. But one thing I agree with him wholeheartedly on is that there is much more value, right? Long-term, from a business perspective, there is much more value in building community around your brand than there is in garnering followers. So don't look for followers, look to build community. And there's a bunch of things that go along with that, but I've been talking for too long, and I want to throw it back to Dom and then get some other opinions coming in the room. But that's kind of my thinking on the whole scenario, if that makes sense.
Tom, well done. It is nice to have you back. We missed you. So we need your input.
Glad to be back. Glad to be back. And for the record, I wasn't just out riding my bike. That's not why I wasn't here last week, or out running or something. Like, I wouldn't miss this. I would schedule around it. In fact, I got off my bike about 30 minutes ago so I could make sure that I was here with everybody today, just to be clear. But I actually last week, I was invited to be a part of a panel discussion for a local multicultural chamber of commerce, talking about like first impressions and introductions and how to sort of put your best foot forward. So that's what I was doing last week. That's why I missed my time here with you guys, was because I was participating in a panel discussion with some members of my local community, hoping to help some other folks, improve the way they present themselves to others, both virtually, like we're doing right now on this live stream, and through audio by speaking the way we're doing on Clubhouse. So that's why I wasn't here. I wasn't just off goofing off, just so everybody knows. But yeah, I will not be here the Wednesday before my race, because I'll be traveling, and I'll be focused on my race at that point. But that's not till August, so we got a little ways to go.
Well, for then we'll bring in our heavy hitters. We had a panel of heavy hitters last week, so they were stepping up and taking care of things. All right, next person we want to meet, and we've met him before, and I like this guy's angle. He's a straight shooter. This is Mr. Ah. And so when I first met him, I wasn't sure how to pronounce. I was like, Mr. A-H-A, A-H-A. And he's like, Mr. Ah. So I got it. He's got a good head on his shoulders, the way he asks a question. I learned from him. I like his pace. So, Mr. Ah, what's up? Ask a question, drop a tip. You hear what we're talking about. We're talking about what is being undervalued right now in sales and branding, in social, that kind of thing. So, go on, my friend, do your thing.
Peace and gratitude for allowing me to speak on the stage and be invited once again to the platform. I learned a lot last time and have definitely been trying to incorporate it. Not trying to, but have been incorporating it in my life. I've been listening in, and Tom brought up a great point about the community aspect with, your branding and just, overall your mission. Um, I think a great example I can attest to with that concept is with the artist I know of named Jessie Reyes. It's kind of ironic because I literally, it's not recently, but definitely within the past few months of joining like her community, actually by accident. And it started with this app, I believe, that deals with like community text messaging. And I remember one day just, going through and receiving a random like text that, invited me to Discord. And I went onto the Discord, um, and it was just a whole community. Like it had different tabs, different standpoints where people can interact and talk to each other, other friends of her community, as well as her being on there, whenever she had time to actually interact with her friends. And even now, every now and then, I pop in and I see the fan engagement about the community. It's not always about her. She has different things regarding like self healing, different tabs regarding other individuals who are like-minded, who focus around her music and have similar, life experiences or can resonate with her. And it's amazing how engaging and active her community is together when she's even not around, and how they, talk about things beyond just the music, but to find that concept. I think how Jay always speaks like the tribe. You hear them and see them, talk and have like events for each other. Those who find out that they're even within the same city and radius, and build new friendships because now they have an anchor point to relay with each other, and then from there, it literally has a life of its own, and it's amazing. I think it's one of the great things I had the opportunity of just even being a part of, every now and then when I do have the time. So I really know firsthand, at least from the perspective of someone who's admiring an individual who's living a lifestyle that resonates, not just with their music, but just being very authentic. And another point, at least from the other perspective, I don't consider myself to be a public figure or anything of that nature, but the opportunity I have had on Clubhouse to share my poetry and to just speak and meet individuals a lot, I noticed just the different um, relationship dynamics that individuals have. And one of the interesting lessons that I learned just with individuals that you would say are in different tiers. I remember I went to a actors clubhouse room, and it talked about how it's really how most individuals have kind of like the stigma where celebrities or public figures have that holier than thou persona, and that they spoke about how that it's usually those individuals are kind of like mid tier or would be considered or viewed as mid tier in comparison to those who are like really really known, and then those who are still just in the grassroots stages. And they say that those individuals usually end up staying stuck in that aspect of success because they haven't learned the value of relationships, or even that when they start off to show humility and to value their networking, they get to a point to where vanity starts to get interjected, and they think that they arrive. And at those points, that is where the gates close on them. And the biggest thing they kept repeating and repeating, and the biggest advice they gave to me is that treat others like how you want to be treated. Always remember that you never know who you're speaking to, who you're talking to, not just from a professional standpoint, but just relationship aspect. One individual was saying how someone who they were working with when they were earlier, as far as like a PA assistant, and that that same individual 5 years later end up, raising up and having, a quicker turnaround in their career. And then they end up meeting them again, and they remember the time when they were in such a place that they needed, the grace and, that relationship. And they remembered that, and they gave them a break, or they gave them grace, and they gave them that opportunity that ended up launching their career. So that, dynamic of push and pull was something that was great to witness. And that's something also that, like, my mom always said, was that you always want to be in a position where you can push and pull, where you can help, support and push somebody else's vision and mission, as well as, in the same time, for another individual who's not quite where you are at, to help pull them up. And I think that does start with, honing in on whatever really mission that you're trying to share with individuals, and it keening in on knowing that that one person who didn't hear before, or even had the opportunity to, be in that presence, to get that, spark, because you never know who you're inspiring. I mean, I think another example is, and I don't mean to ramble.
No, you're killing it, man. So I'm gonna pump the brakes here just for a minute, because you brought it, this treat others the way you want to be treated, and this idea of building community was so on point. I wanted to skip over to Julie, somebody that's building communities, and her media casters. I don't know if you've ever been on media casters. Anybody in this room, check out media casters, and you will find, Mr. Like you're saying, a place where even when Julie's not there, people are supportive. It is a community of positivity. Julie, do you want to speak to how you created that community? How does that work? And like Mr. Oz says, how do you not get a big head when people are saying how great it is and things like that? She doesn't want to speak about it, Tom.
Julie doesn't want to speak about it.
Last week she came on with some rock music in the middle. Her kids were playing, like it was Flow Rider or something like that, and we were like, maybe she's just playing Flow Rider. And so we waited for a little bit while Flow Rider played. Okay, so we'll go on. Thanks, Mr. Charlie Cifarelli, world traveler right now. World traveler, sharing his story all over the globe. Charlie, one of the questions was, what do you think people are undervaluing right now? Is it publishing? Is it community? Prof T said people are undervaluing people. So what do you think, Charlie?
Everybody. You want me to wrap up the room, Dominic, after this?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm a better listener than a speaker. I can't pontificate too well, but I want to try to crystallize. I've heard what Tom had to say, and here it is in a very simple form. Think back when we joined Facebook, and we had a network of people that we kind of knew at the least, and we really knew at the most. And then it transferred on to we joined LinkedIn, where we had built a business network. And people were very happy to be connected. You got a lot of inbox. People wanted to work with each other. And you really requested an invitation to somebody to join your network with the intention that you'd work with that person, you'd help that person, or you have someone in your network that would value that person's expertise. Now, to me, it's become a numbers game, and it's really undervaluing the person's presence. Think back when AOL had email. You've got mail. You got an email, and you were only too happy to get an email. It was exciting, and you returned an email. Today, people can send an email, and they never get answered or looked at probably. So what I have found, and this has been just my personal experience, on one YouTube view, I've got 3.6 million views. It really has not given me a lot of connection. On another California show, I sat down, it was an intimate seating, and I spoke to someone about real events that are happening. And 2,900 views, but I've got a tremendous amount of people that have reached out back and forth and connected with them, because I reached people probably at a deeper level, or something occurred. Today, this numbers game is really crazy. I've been told by all these people, I only had a couple hundred Instagram followers, and I was told by people, even a filmmaker, Charlie, that's terrible for all the presence you've had on the media. So I had my Instagram set to private so that each person would have to ask me to come in, because I really felt like, this is my life on Instagram to a somewhat point. But then I opened it up. Now I got like thousands, tens of thousands of people. I don't even know these people. Who are they? I would like to one day just go down my Facebook list and go to each person's house that claims to be a friend of mine and see if they'd even talk to me, let alone, be friends with me. I don't even know where these people come from. But what I'm getting at is this. I value all groups of people that I'm working with. This is a group here today that are sitting. I know a lot about some of you, wanting to know more about others and learning from others. And I'm really happy in this room. And I get more out of this size room than I do in a room that's hundreds of people. So hopefully that kind of things that I'm trying to get at. And then the last thing, and I'll land my plane with this, I'll put the mic down, it's pretty hot, I don't want to take any more out of the room, is it is so important to really value people, because if I want value, I must take interest in my fellow human being. And really, that's where the growth comes in. I mean, I'm tired. I mean, if there's anybody else hit your mic right now, I'm tired of hearing myself on these podcasts. I mean, I am just so tired of hearing my voice and the questions and this and that. I like to sit back now and listen to people. And for you, those of you out there that are animal lovers, we have become such a society of statistics that shelter directors report their daily kills of dogs in America. So let's say today we are going to kill 10,000 dogs. And that happens every single day in America. And we're supposed to love dogs because of homeless dogs. They'll report, well, we had a good day. We had under 10,000 deaths today. I mean, come on. These numbers mean nothing when they're just statistics. And with that, I'll land my plane.
Thanks, Charlie. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think, like I was saying, it kind of goes back to, that inability to have empathy with a number, right? Because when you're looking at those statistics, those, especially when they're presented in black and white, right? Or you hear them, you hear somebody say that out loud, 10,000 dogs were put down, yesterday, then, it's hard for you to see 10,000 dogs, right? It's hard for you to empathize with that, really, for that to have an emotional impact, because math is very unemotional, right? And I think it's the same thing with followers on social media. People get obsessed with growing followings, but they're not building community. And that's the problem. And I think the sort of key difference there is that in a community, the communication is multi-directional, right? So like I'm going to describe an image to you guys, because I can't show you. I can't even pull it up for the live stream because I don't have it handy in front of me. But I saw this image of like the difference between followers and a community, right? Or the difference between audience and a community. And if you imagine going to a public speaking event, right? Or going to an event where there's a keynote speaker, right? You go to that event, the keynote speaker is up on stage in front of the room, right? And the communication is, for most of those kinds of events, the communication is very one way, right? It is the person at the front of the room is talking to the people in the room sitting in the audience, and they're the one with a microphone. Nobody else has a microphone, and the communication is one direction, right? And when you think of a community, what I want you to imagine instead is think of like a theater in the round, right? So you've got a stage in the center, the audience, right? The community is all around that stage. So communities still have leaders, right? They still have a loudest voice. They still have somebody leading the community, right? But that person is in the middle of the room, surrounded by the community, and now they're talking to the community. The community is communicating back to them, so that communication goes two ways. And then in addition, the community, because it's a theater in the round and they're looking at each other and looking across at each other, now the community is interacting on its own as well, right? So now there's three dimensions of communication, right? There's from the leader to the community, there's from the community to the leader, and there's inter community conversation as well, as opposed to followers who sit there and sort of passively consume the content, right? So, like, I don't give a toss about followers. I don't care about followers. I don't care about the numbers on my social media. I'm not interested in growing followers. I am interested in building community. And that's one of the reasons why, with the exception of when I get invited to speak on a panel like last week, that's why I'm here almost every week with you guys, right? Because this is a community where we talk and we listen to each other. Yes, like Dominick and I sort of drive the bus, right? But we all get a chance to talk and we all get a chance to participate. Like we say, it's an equal opportunity, space. And we want everybody who has something to say and has something to share on the topic to get up on stage and comment and share value with the rest of the community, right? That's what this is about. So, like, that's why I show up all the time, right? That's why I love doing this every Wednesday morning. It's why I look forward to it. And I'm so glad to hear from you, Charlie, and from other folks in this space that they also look forward to coming to this room every Wednesday, because this is a community, right? This isn't about building followers. This is about building community. What do you think, Dom?
Tom, I think you nailed it. And one of the points of that building community, like even me and you, if me or Tom is not here, which sometimes we're not here, you guys are the community. You built this relationship with each other where I see you at Podfest hanging out together, or sometimes with Motivation Champs, my company, I'll see two of the authors that I haven't met in person yet hanging out somewhere or doing an event together, showing pictures of each other's books and stuff like that. And I always have this belief it has to be bigger than me or you. Anything we're doing, it has to be bigger than me. It has to be how? Bigger, bigger, bigger. Meaning, take me out of the equation and the purpose, the drive, whatever that is. Okay, well, this is like this room here. This is a safe place where we can talk about publishing, social media, content creation, business branding. If anybody's, self-promoting too much, we kick them out. If anybody's nasty, we kick them out. This is a safe place. That's what we do here. Whether I'm here, Tom's here, whoever's else here on a given week, that's what we got going on. Okay, one of our favorites, Michael Lozier. I'm sure he has something to say on building community, and he's just a good guy in general. Our friend from British Columbia, Michael Lozier. How you doing today, my friend?
Hey, good morning, everybody. My name is Michael Lozier. I live in beautiful Victoria, BC. It's on an island on the west coast of Canada, and I help business owners uncover and identify old negative emotions that are blocking and stopping them from making money and connecting with customers and clients. Today when I came in, I heard we were having the conversation about understanding the value, or underestimating it. And yesterday, I'm helping a Clubhouse friend put together a program, a weekly program, and how to do that to build his business. And his focus was to get a lot of numbers in there. And I told him this, and it prompted today's conversation for me in my head. I get more value in a small room than a big room. So his goal was to have, he thought he had to have a big room to get lots of interested prospects. And I said, no. And I said this exact sentence: don't underestimate the value of having a small, regular room, like my Sunday morning room that I have. I have the same people coming back, giving updates, bringing friends. It's like, hey, I brought my friend Betty this week. I want to introduce you to her. Hello, what kind of party is that? It's the best. So being consistent and knowing that a small room can yield big results, both in business and in connections. And I make it a point to be here, even though or despite being 6:30 on Wednesday morning. So thanks for having me on.
I want to just tack on. I want to like give everybody a frame of reference for what Michael's talking about there, like or relate it to like sort of your personal life, right? So the value that Michael's talking about in a smaller space, right, is tremendous and dramatically underestimated by a lot of people. I 100% agree with that. And so here's how I want to, like, everybody who knows me knows that I love analogies, right? So here's the analogy that pops into my head, right, as Michael was talking, was think about what you enjoy doing most in your personal life, right? So like, which is a better, more valuable, more rewarding scenario for you? Going to a small gathering with people you know, people you care about, i.e., your friend decides to have a bunch of friends over for dinner, right? And there's 12 of you, right? So 12 people at a friend's house, all of you know each other, sitting down to have a meal together, right? That's one scenario. The other scenario is you can go by yourself to a huge local nightclub all by yourself. Big local nightclub, right? It's packed full of people, but you don't know any of them, right? You don't know any of them personally. You don't have any friends there. You've never met any of them. Which one are you going to pick? Which one is more valuable to you? Which one makes you feel better, right? Going to dinner, 100%. Like, I'm going to pick going to dinner with a dozen friends at a friend's house, like, every time, over going to a big nightclub with 1,000 people by myself, right? Like, that's what I'm going to pick. And I would venture to guess that most people would do the same, right? And it's because you're going to get much more enjoyment, much more value. You have the opportunity to learn more, and you have the opportunity to participate at that dinner party. Whereas going to the nightclub, you're just another nameless, faceless person in that space, feeding money into that business, right? So like, I'd rather be involved than be sitting there passively observing at a nightclub. That's just me, but like, that's what popped into my head, is like, what would you rather do? Go to dinner with friends or go to a nightclub by yourself? You guys tell me.
I like to go to dinner. John, you wanted to add something, and we'll do Johnny, then the better Dominic. So Johnny, go on, my friend.
So Tom mentioned a number when he said 12. The most influential person in history, in world history, the man who influenced more people than anybody else, he split history in two, did it with 12 followers. 12.
Well said, Johnny. Keep going, man. This is why I love when Johnny comes into a room. The guy drops it. Keep going, Johnny.
That's all I got to say. Stop chasing numbers, invest in a circle of 12 trusted friends and colleagues, and you can change the world. I'm Johnny. I'm done. Ta-da!
Johnny, fantastic, man. And I just want to double down on that statement. Here's this gentleman that Johnny's talking about, wherever your stance on it isn't. Here's a guy that had a message to share and walks around for years and years and years and years, from community, sharing his story, sharing his beliefs, things like that. So I would say to anybody in this room, if you're passionate about your story, get out there and share it. Here's a guy willing to walk from village to village to village to share the story. Imagine if you were willing to walk from village to village, how many ways that you could try to share. Even sometimes even in your hometown, your message isn't well received at first. Sometimes you have to go away and share your story. You have to try podcasts. You have to try other places. You have to walk to other villages, and they like, hey, I like this guy here. And then you go back home later on And later on, when you go home, people receive your message. So thanks for bringing that up, Johnny. Let's go. Okay. Julie's flashing. We're going to go back to Julie. We were talking about building community before, Julie. We came to you. We needed you. Go on.
I'm here, guys. The Dom and Tom show. Everybody share the room because this is the best room on Clubhouse weekly with Dom and Tom. We have, how many people do we have in the room? We have 35 people, only 13 people shared. If you could just do that for Dom and Tom, because they dedicate their everything to this group, and they're amazing, and they're always above service. They're always about service. So I want to see those. I can see 14, 15, 16. Let's see some more shares. Anyway, and what Johnny said, it just reminded me of the Dunbar's number, that we can only really maintain about 150 connections at once. And with social media, I think the lowest hanging fruit of marketing, lowest of social media, we get caught up in it. And what is it really doing for you? So, you know, it's about those close relationships. And it's so interesting because if you think about it, how many people do you really know when you have those followers? Probably not a lot. There's probably no more than 150 people that you know or can even recognize. And the thing I think we're missing in branding and marketing today is really the omnipresent dissemination of our messages, and also spending a little cash. For some reason, I think we've been brainwashed with social media to think that this is the way to go. We need to be on there all the time, but really you got to put money into your marketing and branding, meaning paying for ads, strategic ads, and paying for, getting that website up and running, making sure it is SEO rich. There are so many different things that you should be doing instead of social media. And I have to remind myself of this because I get caught up in it. Oh, I have to get another post out. There's easy ways to automate it, but focusing on that, your energy goes where you're in, what is it? I'm totally just flubbering this, and I'm going to play some music here by accident in a second. Where we put our energy is where we reap benefits. And what kind of benefits are we reaping just by posting all the time? I'm not quite sure. So, you want to make sure you are building relationships through engagement. You want to make sure that you are putting your marketing and ad dollars in the right places, and that you are surrounding yourself with, I love that, Johnny, 12 people. So that's my thoughts. I have a lot of thoughts on this. So thank you, Dom and Tom. We have 18 shares. Let's get a couple more. Come on, guys. This is going to be fun. Let's build this room.
Thanks, Julie. Always a pleasure to have you here. I think the thing that popped into my mind when Julie was talking about, like, don't get swept up in this idea of like, I got to post, right? And here's the simple solution to that. Here's what I would say is just ask yourself, before you post anything, ask yourself why, right? Make sure you have a good reason why you're posting it, right? And I'll use my example. Like, I've been doing a daily vlog. I'm on, today is going to be day 93 since I started my Ironman training, right? And a lot of people would say like, well, it's short. Like, what's the point, right? And the point was, the reason why I started it, and I said this, I think in the first one I did it to help create accountability for myself, right? Because I wanted to do a good job of sticking to my training plan and being effective in my training for this Ironman. And one of the ways I was going to do that was to make a public commitment, right? That I was going to do this daily vlog. And the hope is, and I've gotten some feedback from some people that have said that they've watched the vlogs, they followed them, and now it's lighting a desire in them to get out and start doing more active things and start pushing themselves and challenging themselves a little bit, right? Which is amazing bonus for me. But the why, if anybody came to me and said, why are you posting this vlog? I have an answer. I know exactly why I'm doing it, right? And so that's why I keep doing it. And that's why I think it's okay. And I think that's really all you have to do. It doesn't have to be, there is no right or wrong reason for sharing content on social media, but you have to have a reason. The only wrong way to do it is to do it because you feel like you have to, and not because it's driven by a purpose, right? So just make sure that you have a why, that you have a purpose behind the stuff that you post, the stuff that you share on social media. And that will carry through in the content that you create. So next up, I think Prof T, I think you were flashing there. So do you have something you wanted to add?
Thanks. Yeah, real quick. Two things real quick. The word influencers, influence, we're all influencers. I'm just really, I'm starting to loathe the word, because if you're a parent, if you're a caregiver, if you are a business owner, if you're a coach, if you're a teacher, if you're a human being, you're an influencer. And so we get all tied up and wadded up about, influencing. My question is, how are we influencing? How, not who. How. We're either positive or negative. So we're all influencers. If you are an influencer, then you are influencing, which means everyone. And then secondly, funny story real quick. I work with law enforcement in my local area, for mental health and advocating and supporting. And I was speaking, and Clubhouse etiquette, when you say I yield my mic, I was like, well, I'm landing my plane and I yield my mic. The funny thing was, there was no microphone. What I was supposed to have said was, I'm handing the meeting back over. And it was just hilarious. So, how are we being influenced through social media, Clubhouse? And your why, definitely. Um, my piece of advice is, if you are agonizing over posting, if you are running out of things to say, take a break. It's okay. And bloom where you're planted, locally, locally, locally. Start there. It will organically grow. People will get to know you, trust you, and it will grow from there. Thank you. Back to you. Great topic. Share the room, you guys. This is an absolutely lovely room. Thank you very much. Back to you, Tom and Dom.
Prof T, I love this idea of bloom where you're planted. It's something that when I had my first publisher, I went out, sold all my rights. I made every mistake there was when I published my first book. I sold all my rights, gave them away. They're still trying to sell me the book for like $10,000. My book for like $10,000. But anyway, I would be on podcast in like Malaysia and things like that, and I'd say to the publisher, "Don't you think I could get? Don't you think I might? I live in a town called Greensburg. It's about 30 miles from Pittsburgh." I said, "Don't you think I should do some stuff here? Don't you think I should be in this paper?" And he was like, "No, no, no. We'll get you here." And to Prof T's thought, I always thought that locally first, like you should be everywhere, that kind of thing. But I thought, well, what if I put more effort in here first and then keep going outward, practice the message, things like that. So bloom where you're planted. Love it. You should clip yourself saying that, Prof T. Okay, we're going to go to the better Dominick. This is Dominick without the K, but better than the one with the K. So, Dominick, what's up, my friend? You hear the subject we're talking about, man? Have at it.
I don't know about the better Dominick, man, but I just try to match your energy, brother. I really appreciate that. Just want to say thank you for having this space. Thank you to everybody who's contributing immense value to this room and to this topic. I guess I just want to kind of champion what Johnny said about the 12 people. I think a lot of times, if we say somebody from history, like, oh, that's the olden times. Well, let me get you some new time anecdote here. So I recently talked to an MIT professor, right? And this is just to speak to the fact of, it's more about community than numbers. I spoke to an MIT professor, and he said that we're starting to see more and more brands. We're talking about big brands go to influencers who don't have as many followers as, say, a Kim K, but uh, those 1,000 followers, 2,000 followers are heavily engaged. And so brands are starting to see who's actively engaged with their community, and they're starting to flock to there. So before you think that you got to have 50,000 followers, 100,000 followers in order to make an impact, just know that, like, if you're actively engaged with your community and they're engaging with you back, those brands are starting to find you. So that's all I wanted to add. I'm done speaking.
Dominick, that's really a great point. I've talked to some of these brands, and their algorithm, rather than just going, the ones that I've talked to, their algorithm, rather than going just to straight followers, they were taking the followers and dividing them by the engagements. And that's how they were getting a cost that they were going to pay said influencer. So that influencer who's out there buying followers could actually be hurting their um, possibility of monetizing when you look at those metrics. So your point is not missed, and something that people that are out there just trying. I always talk about people that are jumping the line, Tom. And one of the things I believe in life and effort, and like Tom's running his race. Tom's about to run an Ironman. He has to put in the sweat. He has to put in the miles. He has to put in the time swimming. He has to put in the time in the gym. And it's the same, I believe, with social, with writing, with messaging, with getting out and speaking. You have to put in the time in Clubhouse where your mic doesn't work. You have to put in the time where you go out and speak and realize afterwards that um, the shirt you wore made you look like a goon. You have to make all these mistakes so that when the moment comes, you are ready for the moment. Now, somebody that's having a moment right now, Jess, she's blowing up. I'm watching her blow up. Her high-ranking podcast, a media company on the rise. So this is Clubhouse podcasting, publishing, and social media. Share like Jolie said. If you want to follow the room, follow the room. We don't try to sell you anything here or get you to buy widgets or patches or
Join the club.
yeah. Join the club.
Join the club. We have a club. Join the club.
Get on it. Join the club. Join the club. And okay, so now we are going to Jess. Jess, you're blowing up. Tell us how you blow up. Give us some tips. Jump in on the conversation.
Good morning. I like Julie when she says the Dom and Tom show. I never say that. I'm so absolutely, if you don't hear it in my voice, happy. I missed last week and I was like literally in this board meeting, sitting there thinking, why? I would much rather like be here. So I'm so happy to be back. It is amazing. Like there's just so many things that Prof T said, so many things that Charlie said, things that Michael said that are just, I mean, I'm not gonna beat a dead horse. The bottom line is that when you wake up and, you're a business or a brand or, or whatever it is that you do, but you actually have this like fire and this passion, excitement to be wherever it is. It could be wherever. It's like that's to me, my own personal opinion, like that's when like, wow, like this, these group of people, whether I've met them indirectly, directly, on audio only, maybe met a friend, an author of someone else, hence Harry Spate, who I never met Dom yet. So, but I say all of that because it's just the universe works in such a magical way, and it brings like a great collective of people, and they can range from anything from podcasts, publishing, social media, mental health, the law of attraction. I mean, it's beautiful. And I love it. I mean, as I put in the comments, Tom's genuine authenticity that he took 10 minutes at the end of a room to just break down how he did his vlogs. And I look at his vlogs every day, and that's motivation for me. I mean, it's just little things like that. And I think it's always for me passion before profit. And I really do. And it sounds cheesy and it's cool, but I love this room. It really like definitely always, if I have a down day, gives me the fire to know that what I'm doing, everything I'm doing, and why I'm doing it has reason and purpose. And it's always passion before profit. And I'll land my plane.
Jess, man, fire. I love this idea of passion before profit. And I believe if you're on mission, if you know your why, then you'll never be off mission. Every day I go out, like let's say me, it is to share inspiration, positivity, and smiles. So in a given day, it's to share inspiration, positivity, and smiles and help other people do the same. So if I have a room right here, if I'm in a room where 100 people are sharing their motivation, their why, their passion, hey guys, at the end of the day, if I do nothing else but hang out in this clubhouse today, I won. I'm on fire. if some authors, I help them share their story, and one more person buys their book and they're able to share their story, I win. If I'm out making videos with my daughter and we're goofing around, well, maybe seeing me and my daughter slip on some rocks or something like that, maybe one more person smiles because of it. So for me, if I can stay on that and not ever look for that, it helps not ever look for that quick buck or that, well, somebody comes, hey, Dom, you should sell Ray-Bans to the thousands of people on Motivation Champs. Well, I like Ray-Bans, but that's not on mission with what I do. Although maybe I should try to figure out if that's on mission and make those thousands of bucks. But it's not on mission, so it's easy for me to decide that's not for me. I'm going to stay on sharing inspiration, positivity, smiles. How can I do that more? Is there another place I can do that? All right. So it's interesting because sometimes before me and Tom even jump on this room, like in a club, we start talking. We talk before, we talk after. And today we almost forgot to start the room because we were having such a good conversation. And he was telling me about goals, but I'll frame it like this. For all Tom's doing, he started to tell me when he was a little kid he had asthma. And I'll let you go from there, Tom.
So Dom always asks me, so just so you guys know, when we're kind of the backstory or the backstage version of this. So basically, when we're getting ready to start the live stream and start the room simultaneously, we're both kind of on the live stream together before it actually goes live, right? And we can talk to each other. And for anybody that's done, a podcast with somebody remotely and they've used StreamYard or Restream, it's something you'd be familiar with. So basically, Dom and I are on the stream in the studio before we go live. And we always, talk and say, hey, is there something you want to talk about this week? Or is there a topic that's on your mind that you want to bring up? And or Dominick always asks that question anyway. I don't. Dominick is always coming asking that question, right? So this morning I said, yeah, there is something that's kind of been in the back of my mind. And what that is goal setting. And the reason that goal setting has been on my mind is because of a conversation I had on Sunday with my dad. So I was talking to my dad on Father's Day and, called him to say Happy Father's Day. And we were having a conversation and it ended up turning into like an hour-long chat, which is a record, I think. It's the longest we've ever talked on the phone. We've talked way longer than that in person, but on the phone, my dad is a very brief guy. He's in his mid-70s. He doesn't want to spend a lot of time on the phone, right? So yeah, it was kind of surprising, but we were talking about my Ironman and when the race is and how my training's going and stuff like that. And one of the things he said to me was he's surprised. How surprised he was that I could do it. And the reason he said that was because when I was a little kid, I had pretty bad asthma. And when I'm talking about pretty bad, I'm talking about they had to rush me to the hospital a few times when I was, like less than 2 years old, because they were afraid that I was going to stop breathing or because I was having such difficulty breathing. He remembers kind of pacing around the room with me at night when I was 2 years old, when I was just a little baby, a little kid, kind of holding me and like waiting for the medicine to kick in so that I could breathe more easily and could actually go back to sleep. And he said, if you had asked me then, or when you were 5 years old, or when you were 10 years old, if I ever thought that you'd be able to do an Ironman, if you told me what an Ironman was, and did I think you'd ever be able to do that? My answer would have been no, because I couldn't imagine a kid who had trouble just breathing being able to cover 140.6 miles under their own power in one day. And so the reason that got me thinking about goal setting was he's right. It's a ridiculous goal for somebody like that to set. Now, I'm also a huge idiot. So after I had severe asthma as a child, even after it cleared up and I was athletic in high school, I then made the super stupid decision to start smoking cigarettes. And so then went on to smoke a pack a day for like 20 years, right? So I was a person with childhood asthma who then went on to smoke cigarettes for 20 years, right? So like I've had 2 knee surgeries. So like by all rights, there's no way that any reasonable person should ever expect to do an Ironman. And I was out of my mind to set that goal for myself. But I set the goal for myself because I thought even if I didn't finish an Ironman, even if I came up a little bit short, I was going to be so much better off for having tried than for not trying at all, that it was worth it, right? It would always be worth it. And I like to say to people all the time, like, shoot for the stars, at least you'll land on the moon, right? And I know I didn't come up with that saying, but I use it a lot, right? And I think it's 100% true. I think it's an absolutely worthwhile way of going about goal setting. It's what I do for myself. I set crazy goals like doing an Ironman, and now, you know, because I've done one before and I know I can finish it, now it's about doing it faster and doing it better. So like what I want to hear, the question I'm asking the space is, with all of that in mind, is how do you guys go about goal setting? And what are the crazy goals that you've been quiet about, that you can share out loud and put out into the world and start working towards and create accountability for yourself by sharing those goals out loud? And I'll tell you one of mine, right? So to me, the Ironman is no longer a crazy, outrageous goal because I've done it. So here's my crazy, outrageous goal. I am on a mission to change the way businesses interact with people, right? I'm on a mission to change the way businesses communicate with the communities that they seek to serve. And I'm on a mission to change the relationships between people, consumers, and businesses, right? That's my big, crazy, lofty goal. And the realization I've come to very recently is nobody who makes change, right? Nobody who disrupts an industry, nobody who is successful at doing those things does it by themselves. They don't do it in a vacuum. They only do it because they ask for help and because people agree with the mission and they agree to help. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm starting to talk about that mission out loud because I know I need help to do it. It's going to take way more than me. There's no way I could ever accomplish it on my own, but it's something that I am mission driven. It's one of the things I think about every day when I get up, is changing the way businesses communicate with their communities, creating value driven relationships between businesses and the communities that they serve, so that we can all live in a slightly better world. So that's what I'm working on. What are you guys working on? What are you working on, Dom, that's so outlandish? What's your goal that's so outlandish you're hesitant to say it out loud?
This is a great question. And like, people talk about taking an oath, and I'm a big believer when you say things out to the world, if it's important to you, you will take the oath. Like, we see these people take office. When you get married, you stand up in front of a chapel and share your vows to the world. So one of the things that I'm shooting for is, I have this belief that everybody has a story, and I want to help people share those positive stories. So I want to be the Time Warner, the Netflix of inspiration and positivity. When somebody says inspiration, when somebody says positivity, whatever genre they're in, whatever, if it's video, if it's film, if it's books, I want them to say, you should talk to that guy. He'll help you share, they'll help you share your story to more people, bigger, better, larger, more vast. And so that's getting that story out to more people. So let's go around this room, Tom. We got Jackie next. So Jackie, that's how
Hi, Jackie.
Jackie, which one do we
Woo,
want?
Jackie.
Jackie, what would you like to go with here? Jackie?
Yes, so sorry, guys. I just got a call. So can you come back to me in a little while?
We'll make that happen. We appreciate you being here, and we are thankful for anyone who spends 5 minutes with us, 10 minutes in this room, follows the club, tells somebody about the club, has a share, ask a question. We don't do that without each of you. So now let's do. Okay, I think it's Jess. What do you want to add? You celebrating?
Oh no, I did. So first, Tom, I love that because I'm like a hard person on myself about goals. I don't know why, but that's just been something that's always been like a big thing with me until I got into the military. And then I just reshifted my focus and not set goals. And it was like mission driven, like, got to get this done, get this accomplished, like bam, bam, bam. But I love that. So I just want to say that. But no, so for me, yes, there is something that I have been working on, and it was super quiet. I just didn't say anything. And it was elevating the voices of creatives, and creatives meaning of all words. So spoken word, poetry, music, art, nonprofits, BIPOCs, LGBTQI owned companies, entrepreneurs, and taking that and formulating it into what we have already, like I said, already finally was able to put it in the world as Unified Goals published, an online magazine elevating all of these people, the best and the brightest of each city. And people would ask me in my inner, just kind of even my kids, why mom? Like, that's a lot of work. I was like, because if I don't do it, someone's going to come and do it, or do it not the right way. I'm doing it because this is what I love. I want people to shine. That's my mission statement. Everyone can shine and succeed together. Proceed until something happens. So yeah, I definitely wanted to put it out there. Didn't even market the fact that I, launched my first monologue episode of Plan D, Fusing Mental Health. Didn't put that out there, but I launched it anyway, put it in the world, in the universe. And that's just how I am. I just love it. And I just wanted to say that. And I wanted to say thank you, Dom, because I'll be meeting Mick today. Courtesy of whom? This wonderful community.
Love it. That's what we like to hear. Make those connections, like our friend producer Jimmy says. Go left, Brady Bunch style. She says, look left, look right, look left, look right, look up, down, connect, have that virtual cup of coffee. And I will tell you, we are all in this room for a reason on this. Tom, what's today's date? The 22nd? The second day of the second longest day of the year, I guess. I don't know if that would be before or after, but we are all in this room for a reason. We could be outside sun tanning, we could be out riding bikes, but we are here right now for a reason. And let's make sure we know what that reason is. Maybe it's to connect with the person next to you. Maybe it's to hear, to set a new goal, to tell the world your goal. So, Niatima, what is going on with you? How are you today?
I am fantastic, thanks. I'm glad you got to me before I started my run, because that wouldn't have been pretty. I'm here to speak my goal publicly. I mean, I've told people sort of in a joking manner, but it's not really a joke. My goal is literally to build an empire around my mission of helping women over 40, 50, 60, and beyond live their best life possible at this stage, including physical health, mental health, fashion, just going boldly where midlife women have not gone before. And, it's a limitless goal. That's why I have a hard time when people are like, oh, set a goal, set an achievable goal. My goal is to take this as far and wide as I can possibly take it. And it incorporates all the things, all the media, all the avenues, writing a book. Julie knows there's a book in me, but there's only one of me. I can only do so much. But I launched my website this week, so now I'm a big girl. And yesterday, I had my first TV interview. I was on a local TV interview show. I was the only guest for an hour-long interview. And so, yeah, just one step at a time, gonna build my empire. So y'all are here to push me towards that goal.
We got you. You're inspiring others. Hey, Niatima, how far are you running today? For the people that have never ran and they have a goal of maybe going out on a run, how far are you running? And just give us a rundown on that real quick.
Not far. We have if anybody knows anything about running or lives in the Southeast, we have the big Atlanta Peachtree Road Race, where people come from all over the world to run on the 4th of July in Atlanta, Georgia. It's hot, but it is the most incredible experience. And you have runners and walkers and people of all shapes and sizes, everybody just getting out there, celebrating their health and celebrating being fit and celebrating America all at the same time. There's flyovers and giant flags, and it's just epic. And I always wanted to be a part of it. I'd watch it on TV, but I wasn't a runner. I couldn't run. So I was 46 when I started trying to teach myself to run. Very baby steps, doing intermittent walking and running for just like 20 minutes to start out with. And I ran my first Peachtree, not walked, at the age of 53. And this will be my third. So I haven't been really good about training for this
Yeah,
one.
that's the.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
we're clapping it up for you. That's fun, Chris.
Yay! Yeah, I haven't been really good at training for this one, so this one's going to be more for fun than trying to get a better time. So today's just I run one long run a week and then 4 just short, easy runs. So not running far today, about 2 miles, easy jog. And I ran like 4.5 miles yesterday, which is about almost 2 miles short of what I need to go for the Peachtree. So it's not going to be my prettiest run, but they have people
You will make
cheering.
it. You will make it, and you will
I make
do.
it.
You will succeed. The reason why I wanted to jump into that, people, for anybody that's coming in, why are they talking about running in this group that's publishing, podcasting, publishing in social media? Because a running is so step by step. It's putting one foot before the other and setting a goal, just like Tom talked about setting a goal. So Niatima set a goal to run in this race, and she went out step by step, and now she's running. And is this the third or the fourth? Which one was it?
This is the third. But
Okay.
this year I'm going to have my husband's approach. A lot of people just do it for fun and celebration, and so there's for all 6 miles, there's lines of people cheering, and then there's stations where they will give you a beer or a Bloody Mary as you run. So I've never done that because I've actually tried to, do my best time. But this year, I think I'm going to make a couple Bloody Marys.
Hey, have
Nice.
at it. Go on, Tom.
I was just going to say, I just want to share, just before we move on from this subject, I want to share a quick little tip for anybody who's thinking about starting to run or thinking about getting into running. And that is just do a Google search for couch to 5K, right? Couch
That's how I
to
started. That's how I
5K.
started.
Yep, exactly. And those couch to 5K plans will get you up and get you moving. One of the biggest mistakes that people make when they start running is they first of all, they run too fast. And second of all, they run too far too quickly, right? So they start out there like, I'm going to go out and run a mile, and like running a mile straight after like not having run since you were in middle school, PE or something, is not a good recipe for success, right? That's a recipe for injury and recipe for disaster and recipe for hating running. So what you need to do is look up a good, solid plan that starts you at 0 and moves you gradually up to running a 5K, right, which is 3.1 miles. And then I'm guessing that the Peachtree is a 10K, which is 6.2 miles, right? So like you
Correct.
just you start slow and work your way up. But look up a couch to 5K program, and let me tell you, you might think you can't run, but most people who think they can't run can run. You just have to put in
Correct.
the work, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm going to double down on that. The Couch to 5K app is what I started with, and I'll add on to that. I had to start it over several times, like I would get sick and then get out of the habit and then get lazy, and I'd start it back over. And it probably took me a year and a half to get through the 9-week program consistently, but I just kept starting over. And, I think that can be applied to everything we're talking about. I also want to say what I thought about yesterday when I was doing my long run is an unimagined benefit of running is I now, while I'm running, I came up with 5, 6 ideas while running yesterday for that I want to implement in my brand and my business. I mean, it's just my brain just lights on fire when I'm running, and I get all these side benefits to move my other missions forward. So that's it. That's what's going on with me today.
Neatima, you might have done a perfect segue for my friend Chris Michelle, who wrote a book called The Red Chair Experience. And so there is this place that, Chris, would you like to tell about the red chair? What is a red chair? I'm putting you on the spot, but just because you have some clarity when you're in that space. So if you want to jump on that, I'd love to hear it, my friend.
Sure. And I had a conversation yesterday with Julie, and she brought up a really funny thing. She said, I thought the red chair was Dom's thing because all I've ever seen was Dominic talk about the red chair. So I thought you might find that funny. But Niatima, good luck in the in the annual run at the Peachtree. I live here in Woodstock, just outside of Atlanta, so I understand what you're talking about, and that
You're
is
my
brutal. And
neighbor. You're my
I,
neighbor.
perfect. We'll talk offline. So the Red Chair Experience is a book that I wrote, and it's a daily inspiration for success in life and business. And the focus really is that everybody has a red chair, a place that they go that they can focus on working on themselves, basically, is really what it is. And I just happen to have a red leather recliner, and that's my place where I go to read and to pray and to meditate and to have conversations with the previous owner of the chair. The people that owned the chair before me were my business mentor for a long time, my stepdad, and then my younger brother who passed away a few years ago as well. So two very important people in my life came into ownership of this chair, and now it's in my hands. And it formed this book, and it created this opportunity for people to learn more about themselves and do exactly what Nia Team is talking about, and grabbing hold of the life that they have and moving it forward and finding it through inspirational things, a daily inspiration, or maybe some motivation that they need for going on a run or whatever it is that day. So thanks, Dominic. I appreciate it. And I am Coach Chris. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to catch up with me.
Hey, and Chris, and I appreciate you saying that about promoting or talking about the red chair, because I was saying earlier that if I could help more people share their story, then I win on a given day. So Julie thinking that the red chair was mine means on that day that somebody found out about the red chair, because a story that Chris wrote, because maybe I posted one more time. I'm honored by that, man. And it's really a personal book, and the red chair is a special place. So up in that link I posted, that you can find Chris up there, and you'll find you can link to the book as well. But okay, producer Jimmy, you were on the phone. We need you, producer Jimmy. We always I get my fix from producer Jimmy TikToks, Tom. Like that's what makes my day go when I'm soaking in, like you guys in this room. I need you as well, like your inspirational content, your positivity and things like that. And when I see all the things you're out doing, it makes me feel good. So producer Jimmy, make us feel good. What kind of pressure is that? Go on, producer Jimmy.
Well, actually, I'd like to start off by thanking you. I had a really tough emotional day yesterday, lots of family stuff going on, and just being in this room, first of all, just knowing that this room is happening, you guys being so consistent and always pouring out. Dominic, I think it won't be too long till you hit your goal of being known as the motivator, the inspiration source, and all that, because as soon as I saw it was happening, I did two things. Number one, I said, I need to be here. I needed it. And number two, I moved my room, which was scheduled for 11 a.m. Eastern today. So starting in 16 minutes, I moved it to tomorrow because I needed to be here. I needed you. So thank you for this room. And I actually wanted to circle back to something that Tom was sharing earlier that I really, really related to. And I don't know how many people know this, and I won't go into the whole story. It's not important, but at least not for this conversation. but my lung suffered a traumatic injury in 2000. And so as a result of that, I have had breathing problems like nobody's business. And so after about 10 years of being very, very physically incapacitated and having gained a lot of weight, I finally was approved to work out. And the reason I'm sharing this is because of Tom's story, but there's a point. So I was approved to work out, and I started this journey to get back into shape. I was always athletic, and I missed it. So I finally had that journey, and I got back into shape, but I knew there was one more thing I really wanted to accomplish. So this is going back to the goal setting that you were speaking of earlier. I really wanted to overcome something that I had never overcome even before my lung accident. I was never a good runner, and I was never a good swimmer. And I could ride a bike all day long, but I was never good at the other two. So what I decided to do was to start training for a triathlon. I decided to just do it and push myself and see if I could make it happen. And it's interesting when you asked about what motivates you, how do you set your goals? What came up for me was that I just don't give myself any other option. It's attain the goal or nothing else. And so I push myself, never unhealthy, but I always just keep going. And so with the triathlon, like I was borrowing, I didn't even have my own bike. I had to borrow one. And just to put in perspective how old this bike was, it was made by Panasonic. Okay. Panasonic has made bikes in decades. So that was the only thing that I was good at, was the biking. And I had this world's oldest bike. And then there was the swimming and the running, which I just was terrible at. The heat behind me caught up with me in the swimming, passed me by as I'm trying to swim. But damn it, I finished the race. I wasn't even finishing. I think the heat behind me finished all of them finished before I did. But I finished. And the smile on my face after I was done, I didn't care about having a number that would have been embarrassing to 99% of the people out there. I was happy that I finished because I had accomplished a goal. And that kind of thing has carried with me throughout everything that I've done. I started a business 8 years ago that was to produce podcasts before most people even knew what a podcast was. So I had a challenge of not just starting a business, I had a baby and all this other stuff, but how do I do that when nobody isn't even aware? There's no desire for it. There's no need I'm solving unless I tell people that this is what they want. So I had to start the mission first as developing an industry, developing awareness, a want from people in order to then develop my business. So I guess in conclusion, I'll say this, no matter what your goals are, they're achievable. Sometimes you just have to break it down into smaller steps. Sometimes you just have to identify the issues that are going to be the biggest stumbling blocks and hurdles, and just think about them in a very manageable way and take one small bite at a time. Thanks so much, guys. I'm complete.
That's awesome, Jemmy. Thank you for sharing that. And I'm super glad that I'm not the only triathlete in the room. You started talking about.
I mean, I was barely, but let's be real.
Hey, you did it. You completed a triathlon. That makes you a triathlete, right? That's what you call somebody who's done a triathlon, right? It's like the I forget who said it. Might have been Rich Roll said. I don't want to hear people refer to themselves as joggers or walk joggers or whatever. If you go out and you run, i.e. you put one foot in front of the other and you're going faster than walking, you're a runner. Don't tell me you're a jogger. You're a runner. And like other, pro runners and elite runners agree with him on that. And I've heard other people echo it. I've heard pro triathletes say like, look, even if you've done one sprint triathlon, you're a triathlete, right? Because you've done it. Right. So thank you for sharing that. And then the other thing I was going to say was when you're talking about completely just flew out of my head. I just had a Harry Spate moment. Sorry,
Oh, I'm
Harry.
the queen of the brain farts, literally as I'm saying the sentence, so it's okay.
Yeah, I was like, there was something I was gonna say around triathlon, I think. But yeah, I mean, it was just oh, here's what it was. So here's a visual that's described to me, right? You were talking about like if you set a big goal, you just have to be methodical and take one step at a time, and like um, uh, kind of measure your approach. But the visual that was given to me one time, I forget who said it or who I heard say it, but every mountain looks unclimbable when you're standing at the base of it, right? If you stand at the base of, Mount Everest and look up, you're looking at, 20 plus thousand. Well, I forget where base camp is, but like, 18,000 feet of elevation gain, right? Like, I mean, the summit it's so high, you can't even see it a lot of the time. It's obscured by clouds, right? So like every mountain looks unclimbable when you're standing at the base, right? But if you start putting one foot in front of the other, before you know it, you're halfway up, right? And all of a sudden that mountain doesn't look as big, right? It doesn't look as unclimbable, right? Getting to the summit isn't as unattainable. So just be methodical in your approach. It's one of the reasons why I encourage people when it comes to like athletic pursuits, like I was talking about the couch to 5K thing, just use a training plan, right? Like come up with a plan and then execute that plan to get to your goal, right? Just like I'm doing right now with my Ironman, just like producer Jemmy did with her triathlon, just like Nia Team is doing right now while she's out running, getting ready for Peachtree. Just, devise a plan, pick a plan, and then execute that plan, and you will get where you're looking to go. So sorry, I just had to share that. I think we're up to Deborah, right? Is she next in
Hey,
the rotation,
yeah,
Dom?
Deborah's next. I wanted to jump in and I just on something producer Jimmy was saying, just this thought of I want everybody in this room, think about your accomplishments and don't diminish any of them. Whether it's running that triathlon, whether I was talking to somebody on the phone yesterday that sold a business for, I think they said the number was 20 million. And then they were like, well, it wasn't 100 million. It wasn't. And I'm thinking to myself, in my mind, I'm like, well, this is freaking amazing. And I'm just thinking, don't diminish yourself. I had a friend that he had been in the Marines. He was in the FBI. And then he was doing a speech for C-SPAN one time, and he's on, and I was in the crowd, and I'm there, and he's up there. He had double majors. He's basically a genius. Was in the FBI, Marine, but he's like talking at the beginning of his speech, and he's like, and I was in the FBI for a short period of time. And I'm thinking, here's a guy, a Marine in the FBI, double majors. Why did he have to give the caveat for a short period of time? He's a star. So each person in this room, stars, don't diminish it. You're so uniquely skilled. Okay, speaking of somebody uniquely skilled, we met her recently, Tom, and she's amazing. This is Deborah. So, Deborah, go on, my friend.
Wow, what an incredible room. I have been glued to this phone since I jumped in. Thank you so much for allowing me to just experience this. What I am gathering is there's this consensus of being known for. And it's not being known for what we do and what we sell. It's just being known for. Dominick, you are known for your compassion and your generosity. Tom, you are known, wow, for your power, for your grit and your determination. Julie is known for her heart and her giving. Jackie in the red is known for the sweetness. And I could go on and on. I love Teresa, Prof T, and it's what you're known for. If you're on social media, yeah, be known for, what you do and what you sell and how you serve, but be known for the type of person you are. That motivation champs, whoo, that's it. And I love this. I love being known for the caregiver because it is in my heart to just stand on the other side of that finish line because you're coming and you're coming right through. And I want to be the first one to give you the high five and the bottle of water because you did it. So that encouragement that we give everyone, oh, just thank you for letting me be in the room and share the space with all of you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And like Prof T on her talk with her law enforcement, I am landing my plane. Thank you.
Deborah, thank you very much. Love the energy, and I love this thought about being. I'm going to steal that. I'm stealing it right now. I'm calling it. I want to be the person that hands out the water. That it's such a. It's like here. Look, imagine. Just talk about diminishing. At some point, the world has diminished the guy handing out the water. That's hydrating the whole team that's winning. So, Deborah, I love it. I might do I think I'm going to do a YouTube video about that. So I'm going to work that up. Deborah, thank you. Okay, Tom, here's what we got to do here. We said follow the club. We got a club now. We're here every Wednesday. We do an hour and a half or so. We don't ever want to have you here all day or anything like that. So at this point, we're not going to bring anybody else up on the stage. We're going to make sure we hit everybody here, and we're going to ask them to drop a tip or ask a question. You cool with that, Tom?
Works for me. Sounds
Okay.
good.
And so we first have to go back to Jackie. I didn't forget about you, Jackie. You were on the phone, so we'll go to Jackie. And Jackie, if you'd like to drop a tip, go ahead or ask a question.
Well, hey everybody, thanks so much for having me. So a tip in relation to what? Because I'm so sorry, I just got off the call a
No,
couple of minutes.
that's all right. So when we have an expert like yourself on, I'm looking here, it's a 20,000 followers here, influencer there. It says, do your best to live in kindness. So I want, whether you think of sharing your story, a Clubhouse tip, a podcasting tip, a tip on authenticity, a tip so we can live a better today. What do you got for us?
Yeah, well, for me, I always say, for people to live in kindness, because by that I break it down, and I'll just give you very briefly, I won't go into detail, but I'll just give you briefly my breakdown for kindness. So the acronym I use is, so the K stands for kudos, and do you appreciate people, and do you show admiration and boost people? The I is for integrity, so it's being honest and having strong moral principles. Is your word your bond? Can people trust what you say is what you will actually do? And the N is for natural, and we talk about this a lot, but it's being authentically you. It's being yourself. That's who people want to engage with, not a pretend character. They want to engage with you. They want to get to know you. And D is dignified. So, do you act in an honorable way? Do you show yourself self respect? And do you respect others? And the N is for nourish. Do you provide, substances which are necessary for growth? So, what I mean by that is it's not just nourishing with food. Do you nourish people's hearts and souls? And the E is for earnest. Do you show deep sincerity? Is there an absence of pretense and deceit in how you show up, in the things you do in life and in business? The S is for supportive. So by that I mean by providing sympathy or encouragement. Are you supportive of someone's attempts, say, to better themselves? Do you uplift people? In my bio, I've been called the Clubhouse Queen of Kindness, but I also have, do not mistake my sweetness for weakness. So are you supportive, but in the right way? And the final S is for what seeds do you sow in life? What harvest have you planted with those seeds for yourself and for others? Are you working on the garden of life? Those seeds that you sow, they don't just provide something tomorrow or the next day. It takes many, many years. So, what seeds are you sowing in your life for you and others that you can benefit from in the long term? And I'll just finish off by saying, work smart, not hard. And remember that if you don't know how to treat people, if you don't know how to give back, chances are you won't get there by yourself. This is Jackie in the Red, handing back the baton.
Jackie in the Red, thank you very much. Those were some excellent tips and exactly what we are looking for. We are in a better place to continue our day and our week because of you. Okay, we are going to meet Demi with a Yankees hat on. Demi, would you like to ask a question or drop a tip? Go on.
Hello, thank you so much for having me as well. It's been a pleasure and a privilege to be in this room listening to all the inspiration. One of the things I'd like to leave, it's a tip, and that is, I think when it comes down to really owning your time, because that's the most valuable thing we have in my estimation. And I have been in a group of people that have been ultra successful, like moguls. And I've watched them over the years. We're talking over 20 years. And I've watched them do their life. And one of the things that they have done, two of them in particular have done, is none of them are on social media. Neither of them are on social media because their time is that valuable. Secondly, they have the 12-person concept where they invest in 12 people, whether they're their friends or attorneys or realtors or whatever it is, the top therapists. They invest their time and money into people that are knowledgeable we're talking about building a business, and that's what I'm dropping here. And if people can really find that intention, like who they are, like their voice will match that conviction, and business will flow naturally, but that authenticity has to really be there. And I've watched these two individuals run on this passion, and it's incredible. It's actually incredible. And they'll actually speak to the point of how they do it. They actually tour now and speak to groups of people that kind of like a Anthony Robbins or Mel Robbins, but similar also to Denzel Washington and Jim Carrey. They've said, both of them, in different college commencement speeches, do not go for money. Do not go for fame. Go for the authenticity of who you are. Let your voice match your passion. People will be drawn to you. People will be drawn to you. You don't have to sell anybody on anything. You just have to follow that. And I'm just here to hopefully drop some information to help save people time. Because when somebody speaks to me, I don't know about anybody else in the group, when someone speaks to me and I can feel their pitch, I can feel their angle, I can feel what they're doing. When you have that kind of trained way about oneself, that is golden. And all I'm saying is being able to invest in ourselves that way. Not everybody, as Jackie said, I loved what Jackie just said. And also the FBI person. Like, these are people that are really honed into their character. Not everybody has that opportunity to really know who they are. They've been mistreated in their lives. They don't know how to get out of that. And I'm just trying to say that when you do the work with oneself first, like really looking in and being intimate with yourself, like, who am I? Why am I doing this? That to me has been the biggest discovery of all time. And then just being good to yourself, trying to undo a lot of the stuff that typically doesn't work for you, right? And so in conclusion, I just want to say that this group has been pretty miraculous as far as what I've needed this morning. in just giving. I can hear some voices being really, really ultra and authentic, and then other people are like, just share the room. And it's like, there's a difference. That's all I'm saying. And those people will seek you out. And I really appreciate being here. I think business is a level of confidence and a level of humility at the same time. You have to be ultra confident and know your worth, but at the same time have like fall to your knees in grace and know that you are no better than anybody else or any disadvantage, but that simultaneously beautiful kind of bittersweet moment of like, geez, I just got my ass handed to me, or wow, I just killed that. It's a nice way to do life when we could take the failures with the successes, and it's really just that journey, right? The journey, like at the end of the day, can you sleep on your pillow, being happy with yourself. So with that, thank you again for having me. I hope this helps someone, and have a great day.
Demi, I'm glad you came across the room today. We appreciate you, and you have just got yourself one new follower named Dominick, and probably many other ones as well. So I hope to see you back, and thank you for the share. Good stuff. Carrie, my friend Carrie, what's going on? If you got a question, ask it. If you want to drop a tip, go on. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Dominic. Hi, everyone. Lots of heavy hitters in this room this morning. Super inspiring. I'm not a runner, but I'm a ultra marathoner when it comes to swiping. And I was the Rocky Balboa of Tinder, and I joke about that. But I showed up every day, and one swipe at a time, I healed myself and found love and kind of fixed my life. And that was the passion behind me creating my show, Shot at Love. And I will tell you, being a podcaster, it's a marathon, and I'm from Boston, and you will have many moments where you hit Heartbreak Hill here in Boston during that marathon. So Bostonians, we run on the ice and in snowstorms and all of that, and you're going to have so many days that you have to grind it out, and you want to quit, and you want to cry at your desk, and it's so hard. But if you have that accountability partner as a runner, this is what Clubhouse does for me. Like, to come in here and to have people lift each other up and encourage each other is amazing. And just people who have the same values, that they want to have the drive and discipline and dedication to have a successful show. And I'll tell you, if you put the time in and if you're consistent and you do the work, you can have that show that exceeds all of your hopes and dreams. So I just think continue, be consistent, and it doesn't have to be perfect. Done is better than perfect. And you just have to kick out the content and do the best you can. And not every show is going to be a hit. Some are going to be amazing. Some are going to be, resonate with somebody else. But I think just do your best and you'll get there. So thanks.
Carrie, that good stuff. You never know who you might impact on that given day. I have a room on Mondays I do on Clubhouse where we share inspiration, and there's never these kind of numbers on that Monday room. And so sometimes, and like Michael Lozier said, oh well, sometimes a smaller room's better. And yeah, we have great conversations in there. And then sometimes I'm like, well, maybe I should just sell out and start talking about all these other things instead of just talking about motivation and inspiration right. And so I'm talking to one, because we all have those doubts like that. And so I was talking to my friend John Gardina the other day, and he was like, what if you helped one person? I need that reminder too. So Carrie, it is thank you for that reminder. And we will stay true to the mission. And what if one person on that given day, then sometimes you'll get a text or an email, or somebody you see at the grocery store a month from now will say, hey, Carrie, hey, Demi, thanks for sharing that the other day. It really lifted my spirit. So thank you both. Okay, Tom, we are on. Tom shook my head when I said he shook his head, no, when I said about selling out. Tom will not allow it. Charlie, you're flashing, so go ahead, brother.
No, that was just an accidental flash. I'm loving all of it. Just keep it coming.
Thank you, man. Tom, you just want to shake your head, or do you want to add something there?
I was just shaking my head. No, you can't sell out. You got to do what you do, and you got to show up consistently and just keep doing it. And like that consistency over time is going to pay off. Period.
Thank you. Okay, let's go to, let's see here. Fashionable picture here. We got Ching. We met Ching before. Let's see, Ching, what do you got going on today? Ask a question or drop a tip for us, Ching.
Hey, hi, how are you, everybody? Hi, Tom. Ask a question. I don't have a question right now.
Or drop a tip. Go ahead.
Yeah, I really agree with a lot of people said earlier. Consistency. I think consistency is the key to success, and you gain credibility of being consistent. So, for example, I started a room on Clubhouse called Smartphone Video Production, and we've done that for 67 weeks. This week, Friday noon, would be 68 times. Never stopped once. So I'm very proud of that. And yeah, so my tip is keep shooting. I'm a filmmaker using smartphone to shoot and to make films. So keep shooting and keep capturing, keep working on it, and don't think too much about sometimes outcome. You do your work diligently and do one thing at a time, and something else will follow. Thank you so much.
Ching, we love it. And we love this thought of consistency. That's been a underlying theme all day long of consistency, whether it's with your branding, with your social, with your authenticity. So thank you. Okay, we got a deal. I can't even say it. So please correct me. And then I love the picture of the horse. It just seems cool. So ask a question, drop a tip, my friend. Tom, I probably butchered that so bad that he might be mad at me. So we will continue around, and let's go to creative. I like creative. Okay, I'm interested. Creative, Fun Rose, creative coach. I like this term, ideation. The fun ideas for family. Creative coach, drop a tip for us or ask a question because you got a lot of experts here. So go on. Hey, it was like Carrie said, you got to keep swinging. You keep swinging, you don't give up. Okay, Monica, the floor is yours. So now the pressure's on. I got strike one, strike two. So what do you got for us, Monica?
Hey, good morning, everybody. I hope everyone is doing well. I just kind of popped into the room. I love to come into this space. As a podcaster, I love listening to everybody else and what they have going. So, my tip for today, I actually just posted this on my Instagram. I'm going to pop over to it real quick because every Monday I look for quotes that relate to my life and kind of what's going on, just to kind of get me through the week. And my quote for this week was surround yourself with those who will inspire you to rise to the next level. And I posted that quote because this past weekend I went to a conference and it was just so nice to be surrounded by people who are leveling up, who have energy, who are supportive, who clap and cheer, and understand the whole entrepreneurial spirit. And, sometimes you're up, sometimes you're down, but those people are there to kind of help lift you when you aren't feeling so lifted. So my tip is just to surround yourself with people who lift you up, who inspire you, who push you in a nice way to do better and be better, and grow as a human being, not just in your business, but in your whole life, to be healthier, to be wiser, to continue to learn. And that is my tip for today. And I'm Monica and I'm complete. Thanks.
Monica, thank you very much. That was a good one, and I'm gonna sign off, but piggyback off of you. I needed you guys today. I was salty. I even told Tom. I said I'm salty. Maybe I had too many projects going on, or too. I don't know, but I needed the love, the community, all these things that each of you brought, and I'm honored to be a part of it. So I like to surround myself with winners, influencers, people making a difference, kind people, supportive people. people that raise me up a level, like Monica said, and each of you are that, and Tom's one of those. So, Tom, the pressure is on you because I need you, brother. So take us out, man.
Thanks, Tom. Yeah, I mean, I am just so grateful right now for this community. You know, we talked about consistency. It came up a few times. It's a recurring theme. It's something I talk a lot about in my work. But you know, Dominick, we've been doing this room for I don't know how many weeks now. You know, and you know, a lot of the same people show up every week, and I love that about this room. We get to meet new people too, which I also love. But I love seeing familiar faces, seeing the pictures of familiar faces, I should say, in the Clubhouse stream. You know, in the room every week. I love seeing those same people show up. I love having this community and being a part of this community. And like you said, this is, I think I 100% agree with you. I think we're building something that is bigger than either one of us or any one person in this space. Because when I'm not here for a week, guess what? The room is fine and goes on and is great. If you're not here for a week, the room is fine and goes on and is great. And that's because of everybody that shows up week after week. People change their schedules to be here. You know, Michael is on Clubhouse at 6:30 in the morning, his time on the West Coast of Canada every week to be here. It blows my mind that that this little sort of experiment that I got invited into, that you and Neil started, that I got invited into, has become such an amazing community, and such a supportive community, and a community full of amazing, inspiring people that face adversity and overcome it on a daily basis. And so I just want to end with that. I'm incredibly grateful to be a part of this community. I'm incredibly grateful for everyone here who is also a part of this community with me. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your effort. Thank you for your support. And know that goes both ways. If you ever have a question, if I can ever be of any help to you outside of this space, don't ever hesitate to reach out. You can easily get in touch with me either through my website or on social media. And that's a standing offer that I always put out to people. Treat me like a resource. If I can ever be of any help to you, don't hesitate to reach out. And I will end with that. Please be a resource for each other inside this Clubhouse room every week and outside. Let's keep the community growing. Let's bring in more people who also want to help and support each other and inspire others. Sounds like a good place to spend time to me. That's a world I want to be a part of. So thanks again. We're going to close down the room for the week. We will see you guys next week in 3, 2, 1. Bye-bye.
Bye
Thank
bye.
you.
Bye bye.
Bye.